Hello and welcome to the TechBrain channel. In this video, I'll be demonstrating how to use X.509 certificate authentication in MongoDB Atlas. We'll be looking at the key elements of X.509 authentication. We'll look at how to generate self-signed certificates, how to configure MongoDB Atlas to use X.509 certificates, and also how to troubleshoot your X.509 certificates in the event that you do have any problems. We'll look at some of the best practices when it comes to using X.509. What is X.509 authentication? It's a standard that defines the format of public key certificates used in many protocols, including SSL TLS. The key components of X.509 are digital certificates, and these typically contain the public key and identity information. Then you have private keys. These are used to prove ownership of the certificate. Certificate authorities. These are trusted entities that actually issue these certificates. What we're doing in this demo is actually generating these certificates. So in essence, we are our own certificate authority. This is a useful practice when you're testing things out. In production, you need to use a legitimate certificate authority. There are several out there. The other component is a subject distinguished name. This is a unique identifier for the certificate holder. For this demo, we need to ensure that we have the following elements: MongoDB Atlas account. Ideally, you want to have an M10 plus tier. Anything lower than an M10 does not offer X.509 authentication, so it's got to be a dedicated tier. Also, just make sure that you've got OpenSSL installed. This will be useful for certificate generation and management. You need to have an IP address whitelisted to access your Atlas cluster. Also, you need a compatible driver. This is a MongoDB driver that supports X.509 authentication. In my case, I'll be doing things from the Mongosh. The Mongosh, as you know, is a Node.js application, so it does have a compatible driver that will support X.509 authentication. So the first step is generating the certificate. So we're going to create a self-signed certificate. And as you can see here, this is ideal for test purposes, to try to understand the concepts behind this technology. So let me navigate to my script and I'll get to execute it. So I'll go here and here we go. So this is the command I'll need to run. So this generates the actual certificate. So it's my self-signed certificate. And what I'll do is I'll go here, clear everything, and I'll run the following command. I'll then combine the certificate and the key. So to do that, I'll use the next command here. So I'm generating a PEM file. I'll then head back here. So that's done. I can use OpenSSL to actually investigate or check what I've generated. So I do have a command in here that will do that for me. So I'd like to check the generated certificate. So those are the details there. It tells us the validity, issuer details, all the usual stuff that you'd expect in a certificate. So the common name, a few important notes here. The common name must match the MongoDB username. Certificate validity. You need to set an appropriate expiration date. In production, ensure you're using CA-signed certificates instead of self-signed. Make sure that you're storing the private keys securely. It goes without saying. So in the next step, this is what we'll be doing. So we've just performed these actions. We created a self-signed certificate. We then combine the certificate and the key. And in the next step, I need to go to Atlas. So I'll navigate to Atlas. So let me do that. and then I'll add a new user, and also I'll add the appropriate authentication method. In this case, I'll be authenticating using a certificate instead of Scrumsher256. I'll then set the username, which must match the CN for my certificate. I'll then assign the appropriate role. So I'll head over to Atlas. So that's my Atlas cluster. I'll go to database access. I'll add a new database, user or group. So that's my new database user. And they're authenticating using X.509. So where do I get this value from? So this value can be retrieved from my certificate. So I'll set the username, as you can see there. I will set the username. Now I've deliberately set it to something that I know won't work. So I'm trying to incorporate a little bit of troubleshooting into this. I'll make sure that the user that I'm adding here is associated with the database role. So that's the role that the user is associated with, this user here. I'll add the user. So the user's been added and Atlas is applying those changes. So what I'd like to do next is go to the advanced section where I'll need to enable X.509 authentication. And here's where you can actually upload your certificate. Either upload it or paste the actual details there. So what I'll do is I'll go back here and I'll get the PEM file. So let's say ls-hl. So there we go. And I'll do this nano MongoDB -cert CRT. I'll take all of that, come out of here, and then head back over here. So that's our configuration step done. So clearly we need to be able to connect. So how do we connect? So I'll go back to clusters. And what I'll do here is click on connect. And I'll connect via the Mongo Shell. So we now have two methods of authentication, either Scrumsher256 or X.509. So I'll get this instead. So I'll go with X.509 and I need to supply a path to my PEM file. So I'll copy that. And then I'll navigate to the Mongo Shell. So I'll fire up the Mongo Shell. Just make sure that I have my PEM file. So it's mongodb.pem. And we should be good to go. Let's see how far that deployment has got to in Atlas. So in Atlas, the changes are still being applied, so I'll need to wait for that to take effect. My changes have been applied, so I can go back and try to authenticate. So I'll go back here, and let's see if I can get in. So it tells me that I need to set the correct user. So I'll copy this string here, and I'll go over and update that. In fact, I'll need to create another user. So that's how you can actually do a little bit of troubleshooting as you configure this. So let me head back here. So I'll go to database access, and I'll say, no, this is no good. Once you set the name, you can't update it. You'll actually need to drop that user. So to drop the user and add a new database user, authenticating with X.509. So I'll paste that in. So there's CN, common name, organization, location, state, country, and we'll say demo X.509 user. And this user is in the Atlas admin role if I need to perform elevated actions on this database. Otherwise, if I just need to be able to read and write, I can go to that one. And of course, you've got the option to create custom roles. So I will add the user. That user has been added. And with some luck, I should be able to log in. Okay, so I am now authenticated using X.509. I can confirm those details. So what I can do is run an admin command. So admin command, and just check my connection details. And we do that. So you can see that this is the user that I'm logged in as, and that's the role that the user's mapped to. Show DBs. I can see the system databases. I can write to any database, read any database. So let me do something like this, insert one. And we'll just say message, hello world. And looks like that's fine. So that's my configuration done. So we come back to the slide just to recap what we did. So we had to navigate to the database in Atlas, and that's where we created a database user. We selected authentication using X.509 certificates, and then I uploaded my certificate details, the public certificate only, just to be sure. And we had a little bit of troubleshooting that we had to do there. We had to make sure that the CN matched what I had in the certificate. We then associated the correct permissions with that database user. So this is what we had to do, connecting via the Mongo Shell. So a few issues that you might encounter as you do this. Most likely you get a certificate mismatch. Just make sure that the CN, the common name, and the certificate matches the Atlas username exactly. If you get any network related issues, verify that your IP address is on access list. So we can get that information over in Atlas. There is a network section where you can actually just make sure that network access is currently configured. So in my case, that's already done. Then the other issue might be you're trying to do this on a shared tier. Shared tiers are not capable of using X.509. X.509 authentication will not work with shared tiers. You've got to use the dedicated tiers for this. Dedicated tiers start at an M10 going up. Other issues might arise from the certificate format, for example. So make sure that your PEM format is correct and that you've got the right path to the PEM file. In the connection string, you must include the authentication source, which is $external, and the authentication mechanism must be MongoDB X.509. And just to show us those details, I'll head back here. So this is what I had. So my authentication mechanism is set to MongoDB X.509. Also, make sure that your certificate is valid. Check if the certificate is still valid. Look at the expiry date. So in terms of best practices, avoid self-signed certificates in production environments. I'm doing this here as part of a demo. In production, you're going to be using a certificate that's issued by a certificate authority. Let's encrypt. There are many providers that will generate these certificates for you. Make sure that you're implementing regular certificate renewal policies, and also store your private keys in secure locations with restricted access. Private keys are private keys. You cannot be sharing these with the world. Keep an eye out for the expiration date. You do not want to be caught out, because that does cause a lot of disruption. If certificates have expired, you won't be able to access your system. Apply the principle of least privilege. Give minimum required rights. Additionally, ensure that you have an audit trail set up. Enable MongoDB Atlas audits for certificate-based connections. You can easily do that. Let's head to advanced. And over in here, you've got database auditing. You can turn that on. And what you can do is go for this option, external database user, or all external database users. As you can see here, I can enable that and audit all authentication coming in via things like LDAP, OpenID Connect, AWS IAM, and so on and so forth. So that's something that's obviously going to comply with any audit checklist that you've got. So let's move on to the next slide. So in conclusion, what we've seen here is an enhanced way to authenticate into your systems. You don't need to bother with passwords. So cryptographic authentication is generally stronger than passwords. There isn't the headache of password management, and it helps eliminate password-related vulnerabilities. You can integrate this with your public key infrastructure, and also it provides better audit trails and compliance reporting. So hopefully you enjoyed the video and you got something out of it. So if you'd like to see more great content from the TechPring channel, please remember to like and subscribe and share. And yeah, drop us a line. Let us know what else you'd like us to cover on the channel. Until next time, thank you very much and have a great